am I supposed to start?
Oh.
And somebody came to Mark and said, Mike is one on the phone. And Mark said, well, he can't talk on the phone. And he said, who is it? And she said, well, it's Steve Jobs. Did you feel any different as a blue-eyed blonde? Some of you who were dark-haired before you started? The X Factor. I mentioned it before, but I want to know what you think about how the judges are acting. Snooki. And she's so, I don't know what it is about her. And the program wouldn't be anything without her, although there's two strong boys in there. Hi, I'm Grandmother Patti, and I have here a plaque off the wall that's given to my son. It says Pixar Activity Center. And it says, Mark, missed you. Looking forward to catching up next dinner. Best, Steve Jobs. And it so happens that Mark, because of his father, Mike, had known Steve Jobs since he was in the garage. And so at different times, while Mark would talk about Steve Jobs, one time they went fishing. And I can't remember the name of the place, but it's up near Sandusky, and it's a private trout fishing area in a lake or something. And so they caught a lot of fish, and that was a lot of fun to be with Steve Jobs. Then, just about 2.5 years ago, Mike had fallen and hit his head and had an operation, and that's Mark's father, and he was in the rehab, and somebody came to Mark and said, Mike is one on the phone. And Mark said, well, he can't talk on the phone. And he said, who is it? And she said, well, it's Steve Jobs. So Mark went clomping down the hall and got the phone, and Steve said, well, you know, your father's been researching a lot about hospitals and doctors and what things are necessary, and I need him to come out here right now and research something for me. And Mark says, I'm so sorry, but he can't talk, and he's getting better, but we don't know if he'll get all the way well, and that's it. So when Steve died, Mark told his father, he said that Steve Jobs had died. And Mike's brain clicked a little bit, and he said, well, nobody told me. And that's about all he had to say. We wondered what he would say about it, because they'd had a great relationship. I don't think he's in any books, anything written about it, because one day Steve Jobs had called Mike and said, what am I going to do? I'm putting the company on the, what do you call them, IPOs, to have it be on the stock market, and I don't know what to do. And on the day that they put it on the stock market, I don't know what I should do. And Mike said, well, you should go fishing. And so that was why there was a gathering of people. Even Mark's grandmother, Ginny, went. And they had a really good time that day. So I'm dedicating this portion to Steve. And there was one time that I got to see him on TV that I thought was absolutely marvelous. And it was the last time he came before his whole Apple group, and they're all in this auditorium together. And they're all talking, and then they get very quiet, and they all know that Steve is very seriously ill. And the person who's taken over for him came on the stage and started talking, and right as he was talking, in walked Steve Jobs with his slender body and his jeans and his black, and the place, more than anybody I've ever seen before in my life, the place was explosive. People just cheered and they screamed and they clapped and they just carried on like crazy. Like, as I say, I've never seen anything like that. And so at that time I thought, my goodness, this man must be really something. And I never had the chance to meet him. But I'm so pleased that my son did. Some of you who are older like me are always, as you know, it's very wonderful when your kids are happy, or when your kids do something they like, or when something happens great for them. We don't even care anymore whether something happens to us, We just want our children and grandchildren. And some of my friends have great grandchildren. I don't know how they do that. But anyway, I also wanted to say before I get started on anything else, that at the end of this blob or whatever I'm on, my son tells me there's a place you can write your comments. And what I really want to know about is your opinions about what we're talking about. In other words, did you feel any different as a blue-eyed blonde? Some of you who were dark-haired before you started, were you treated any differently? And how about those of you who were blonde all the time? I mean, what did you see anything different, you think, about how people treated you? Of course, a lot of you are blonde because most of the men like that. Some of the time, you never know. And so I would like for you to make comments, and you can even write about what you want to write. And also, this time, I want you to write about where was your first home. Nobody is going to guess where my first home was. I will give you 2 hints. One, it was an institution, and you're all going to go, ugh. And the other is, if you live in Xenia, Ohio, that's Xenia, Xenia, Ohio, then you might know where my first home was. And that's why I say I have a different life, and I mean really different. And so the other thing I wanted to talk about was the X Factor. I mentioned it before, but I want to know what you think about how the judges are acting. It's sort of, in my opinion, I know they're trying to be acting like something or other. They're trying to get the people to watch. But I think the people really just want to see who can sing, or who can dance, or who can do whatever they want them to do. And I don't think they're really enamored with the judges getting after each other and all this kind of stuff. I wonder if they'll use that same format next year. I wonder what you thought about that. Because to me, it sort of detracts. Because they've really got some good singers on right now. And it's near the end. And as I said last week, I'm polling for Josh from Columbus, Ohio. And I hope that he at least gets up to third. Because I think it would change his life. I think he's worth it. Really worth it. Really different. Unique. That's what we want in life, is unique. That's what people who go into the movie business, and that's why they give you a screen test, because certain people right through the screen can be really make you feel like you know them, or that they have something special, or they don't know what to call it. That's why they call it the X Factor, whatever it is they have. They're trying to figure out, what is this X Factor? And some people have it that are teachers, or professors, or ministers, or and people that just come in the room with you. I have a friend from one of my places in Ohio that I lived, and her mother had a sort of a halfway deformed hand, which I never noticed, but anyway, I guess it was deformed. And so her mother said that nobody ever talked to her, because in those days, way back when, people didn't like deformities. So her daughter decided that when she went in a room, would go and talk to every single person in the room. And she has done that since she's a little girl. And when she does talk to people, or when she's with them, she always uses their name almost in every sentence. Like, Joe, well, I don't know, Joe, what do you think about this? And what did that do? That made her the most popular girl in all of the high school. And people like to be with her, and they like to be around her. And she didn't always talk to people in a certain cliquish group or this cliquish group. She may be in that group, but she always made time and effort to go and not say silly things, but talk sincerely to these people and situations that she had that were really, really really unbearable, and find out other people have the same thing. And you'd be surprised how many families that you think have absolutely no problems. If you know them well enough, you find out, well, they have this, their child's been diagnosed with that, and their family this, and they really don't own the house anymore, or they can't get a job over here, all kinds of things, especially now that we're in it. But anyway, what I really want to know is what you think. And Mark says that there's a place somewhere to write all this down. I'm not good. now with all this technical, I stayed up with the technical, and I think I finally gave up around 1980 or something. So I wish you all a very happy day, and if you just each day try to be happy, or at least content. As some man said, well, I'm 90 now, so all I wish for is to be content. And I think, well, that's good. That means you're not too happy, too sad, too anything. You're just really living your life as it is. And if you noticed on the beginning, then I have a picture of me on the beach. Now that is what I would call content. You just put me on the beach in bare feet and I am as happy as lark. But there is a story to the picture on the beach. And I will have to say that in another time, because Mark says, I can't talk too long. And of course he's not in the room right now, so I don't know how long is too long. And I think I'll stop. And then he'll probably come back and say, well, that wasn't long enough, but we'll see. And I'm just going to do what I want to do on this bloggy thing. And I might even sometime talk about, what's her name? Jersey Shore, what's her name? You know who I mean. And we have to talk about her because you can't help but like her. But then, what kind of example? I mean, it's just... you can't help but like her even though she's doing everything wrong. Like Snooki. And she's so, I don't know what it is about her. And the program wouldn't be anything without her, although there's two strong boys in there. And we need to talk about that, because there's some people that seem to do everything wrong and people still like them. They said a lot of the kings of England, the ones who didn't do everything right were the ones that people liked the best. So there's something strange in life, isn't there? And it isn't so much you do everything right. It isn't so much that you don't do anything wrong. It's, I don't know what it is. It's the X factor. And if we all had the X factor, we'd all be talking to each other and having a great time. And it's wonderful when you get a group of people together. They get along. They like each other. They have interesting things to say. Now, of course, my son is trying to tell me what to do. It's something about, if you, at the end of this, is a place to subscribe and put your name, and then and what else is somebody to say? Just tell me. If you like me at all, you're supposed to push the L-I-K-E button down here, and if I'm one of your favorites, you know, after you watch me a few times, maybe I'll be one of your favorites. Don't forget, down in the comments, put what you want me to talk about. And also, just tell things that you want to talk about, which I've already said. And also, don't forget, is there anything else I'm to say? Subscribe. I don't know why, and I don't know any of this. I'm just sitting in front of a camera, blogging away, and my son will take care of the rest, which is a good deal. But he's still trying to tell me what to do. I don't